Welcome back, No Life Digital. I'm going to show you how I set up my EOS R5 with the Atomos Ninja for nearly unlimited 4K HQ recording. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to attach our Atomos to the top of this camera. And I actually really like this cheapo bald head. I like it. It's actually not that bad. We need a way to power the Atomos. I'm just going to use a Sony NP-F760, 750. Obviously, this doesn't impact your overheating limits or recording times. Now, if you did want to run your Ninja indefinitely, then there is an adapter, which I do have. This is for the AC wall outlet. It's called the battery eliminator. And this just slots in right there, and you can run it to AC power, or you can run it to some other sort of power source. Definitely get one of these if you're going to get an Atomos and you're going to do long form recording. So we're just going to use the battery, SSD. Make sure you got your SSDs in there. That's all ready to go. Next, we're going to plug in our HDMI cables. Remember, it's coming out of the camera into the Atomos. And you're also going to need a micro HDMI cable, essentially. So you can get a micro HDMI cable to full HDMI to go into the Atomos, or you can use a full to full HDMI cable and then a micro HDMI full HDMI adapter. And I'll leave a link down in the description for that. That goes in like that. And then Canon does provide a wire mounting thing. The way that this is set up, I don't know how well you can see it, but the way that this is set up is they kind of want you to wrap it around the back like this. So that's how it goes right there. Just wraps around the back, and then this slots in on the side here, just like that. And then this goes in. There. Now it does protect the HDMI port from snapping, and that's usually where it's going to break. The micro HDMI snaps at the connector, but a lot of the times these little flimsy wires here are what snaps as well. And unfortunately, this type of protector doesn't protect against that. So now we have that all set up. Strap these either somewhere or just tie it up. Now, if you want to add a microphone, you can strap it to either the top of the Ninja, and then this would go into the mic and line port on the Atomos. You could do it on your camera, but I like to do it to the Atomos and then set up my levels through the Atomos. And then to make sure that everything is good, I'm gonna attach it to my grip, because this is a very awkward setup to hold in your hand. So holding it like that, bada bing, bada boom. With the IBIS on this, oh my God, this is like butter, dude. It's like you're floating on a cloud. Now there's a couple other things. Powering the camera, you can use a battery. So I have in here the new Canon LP6HNs, and this is gonna give you about 2 hours of recording time per battery. Now, if you want the absolute best scenario for overheating, so you can get the longest record times, because I got over 2 hours on my battery test, and then I just was like, all right, that's fine. And then I took the batteries out. I didn't test, just keep swapping in batteries. So if you want the best optimal recording time, you can use a dummy battery. This is a Canon brand dummy battery. This is the DC coupler, and then there's an AC coupler if you want to attach it to the wall outlet for continuous power, or you can attach it to some other sort of external power source. They have ones that are D-tap, so the dummy battery goes to a D-tap, which you can use for a V-mount battery. It's really up to you on how you want to power it, but I do know that the Canon batteries, 2 hours is pretty damn good. So we're just gonna use that for this case here. So that is the hardware setup. Now the most important thing, making sure you get the most amount of time out of this. We have to take out the CFast Express card as well as the SSD card. Pop these bad boys out. We're just gonna be recording on the Atomos. If you wanted to do internal recording, you will be limited to the recording times of the camera, which are very, very, very low. 25 minutes, half hour. Now say you're shooting 4K 30 HQ for a majority of the time. Oh shit, I wanna shoot this in 4K 120 real quick. Pop the card in, shoot it. When you're done, pop the card out to really maximize your times. Now say you wanna limit the heat as much as possible from the camera, you can pop the screen open like this. With this cable protector, the door doesn't swing all the way open, so you may not wanna use that. And you also, like I said, get some sort of grip or some sort of cage so your hands aren't choking it out. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I'm still testing like outside ambient stuff, but I don't think it makes that much of a difference. It's really the CFast card that's the bottleneck. So that's it for the hardware stuff. That's what the setup looks like. This is a fun little setup, man. I mean, once you got this in your hands, I mean, you feel powerful. You know what I mean? Like, you got some really amazing image quality with files you can actually edit. So that's not it. We do need to set our settings. So let's open up our camera. Let's turn our camera on. Let's get into our menu settings. On our recording page 1, you're gonna go into movie quality. You're gonna enable 4K HQ, and this is going to give you that downsampled 8K 4K. I like to shoot in 29:9:7. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's all-I or IPB. You should do all-I just because it's, I guess, less processing on the camera, but it doesn't matter because we're not recording internally. And you can choose between either DCI or UHD format. I'm gonna just do DCI here. People have been asking, can you output 4K 120 into the Atomos? No, you can't output 8K either. I believe this is an HDMI 2.0 spec HDMI port, and you need HDMI 2.1B to get 8K or 4K 120. I believe that's what it is. Make sure your sound recording is set on manual if you're gonna be recording sound to the Atomos or the camera. Canon log on page 3, you wanna turn this on so you can get that 10-bit file. Now remember, it's because it's outputting from the camera and you're recording this into the Atomos, you're not gonna be getting Canon log 10-bit in H.265, you're gonna be getting it in H.264. So it's much, much easier to edit. We're gonna turn our view assist on. We don't need to, but I'll just have it on here. Our color matrix, you want to choose neutral for the best dynamic range possible. You can choose Cinema EOS Original, but just know it's a little bit more contrasty. Characteristics, I like to keep on 0. If you'd like, you can turn up the sharpness a little bit. The 4K HQ is so incredibly sharp that you don't need to turn it up. I would reserve this for the normal 4K file. If you're shooting in normal 4K with C-Log, you can turn up the strength of the sharpness a little bit to try to match as closely as possible for the 4K HQ. I'll do a separate video on how close we can actually get to the 4K HQ in just the normal 4K video. If you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. Now, color space, again, up to you. You can do 709 or 2020. I'm going to choose 709, which is the more standard version. We're going to head over to page 8 now. And this is very, very important. So for this purpose, for what I'm doing here, I'm going to have it so the HDMI display is only to the external. That way you can see what I'm doing on this screen. Otherwise, you only want to choose the camera and the external display option. This is the option that you want to choose. You do not want to choose this option because it's bugged. If you choose this option, you're going to get disconnection issues and you're going to get screen blackout issues. You also don't want overheat control on. These modes are bugged. Don't do that. Go to HDMI display and choose the camera plus the external display option, and that's it. That's all you want. So when you go to shoot, you can see here, they both appear on the camera and on the external display. And you're also getting the 4K HQ image out of the camera. You're not getting any screen blackout, and that's what's going to give you the longest recording possible. Up to 4 hours is what I've gotten. Very, very important that you do that. And of course, you can set all your camera settings like your ISO, your f-stop, your shutter speed, all in camera. You're also gonna wanna use the camera anyway to touch your autofocus points. So when you're focusing, you can just do it here. But I know some people have been trying these tests, but using only that external option with the info on the screen. And you don't want to do that. It's really going to limit your time. It's bugged. It's all fucked up. Don't do it that way. I'm just going to stop the recording on the Ninja here. But in our Ninja settings, we're going to press this button here. We see here, okay, it's 4K 29:9:7. It's getting it through an HDMI 2.0 signal, which is great. We don't need a trigger or anything like that. Our camera output, we want it to be on log or HDR. It's Canon C-Log 709. You can do HDR auto and then legalize it, but I like to just set it up this way where it's log HDR and then set up my settings here. On output, it depends on what you're doing. So if I'm outputting here from the Atomos Ninja and I'm shooting it out like I was doing on my tests, and you can set it up here so it's 4K to HD or however the video out is for whatever you're doing. You can also set up your HDR out, whether it's HLG or PQ, which gamut you want to export out in. This is just if you're outputting from the Ninja. In your record page, it doesn't matter. This is where you're going to be recording. 422 is about the medium size. HQ is very high quality, and then LT is the lightest quality. It's up to you how you want it to be compressed. 422 is standard. And then, and that's pretty much it. And if you're doing audio, you can head over to the audio page and set up your gain levels. You can check your meters here on the meters page. Now you can set up all your, histograms. You can set up your focusing points, your zebras to make sure you're not blowing anything out. And you can also set up your LUTs by putting the LUTs on the SSD in the LUTs page, and then you'll be able to access them all here. And that's up to you if you want to, just see what the final image is going to look like for the most part in a LUT, which is excellent. That's one of the best qualities about the Ninja is being able to really see the LUTs. Now you can also check your monitoring. If you're doing HDR, you can set it to HDR PQ so you can see what that is going to look like. I guess I can show you here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera to HDR PQ. You have to turn off Canon log. This is for just a quick and easy HDR image, not a log image. We're going to head to the HDR PQ settings, turn these on. And as you can see, that's what the HDR PQ setting is going to look like. Let's turn this up a little bit. And then again, here is where you can monitor if you're looking at PQ mode, HDR PQ. And that's kind of what it's going to look like, which is pretty cool that they have that mode there. Again, just like a quick and dirty sort of HDR file. We're not doing that today. I'll set up a whole separate tutorial on that as well if you'd like. So we are in Rec 709, and that's how we're going to monitor it. We don't have any LUTs. I don't want any focus peaking. I want nothing. That's essentially what that's going to look like with a 709 LUT added on top. And that's pretty much it. And then when you're ready to record, remember, you just don't record in the camera. You just press the record button here on the Atomos Ninja, and it all is beautiful. It's a beautiful file. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, you get hours and hours of recording this way, and it's an amazing high quality image. This is how I set it up for my run and gun. Again, if I want to run it through the studio, which I'm going to leave a link in the description. I just did a 2.5 hour live stream on my second channel, and on that channel I had no issues. Just did it that way. It ran 2.5 hours beautifully. Even after the 2.5 hours, I went and turned the camera off. There was no overheat warning signs. This is the way you want to set it up. The CFast Express card is the bottleneck. If you're going through the studio options, get you some dummy batteries. You can get a dummy battery anyway. I would highly recommend it. They are nice to use, especially for external power sources. And then again, you can get this Atomos sort of attachment if you want to run power to the Atomos indefinitely. All right, and that's pretty much it for my video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully now you know how to set up your camera for those really long form recordings and not have to worry about any overheating. I've been running this setup since I've discovered this, and I've had no issues whatsoever. It's been a blast using this camera. I think a lot of people with this setup for videography are really going to love this camera, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to get some sort of fix in firmware in the future. So we may even have longer internal recording. We may have a lot of our problems eased, and we can finally get the camera out of the way and start worrying about what we're doing, the art, worrying about the content. Because that's the biggest sort of obstacle that this camera has. It's kind of in the back of your mind. A lot of people are thinking about it too much, and that hinders you from your creativity. You don't want to think about the camera. You want the camera to get away, and you just want to capture your story in the best quality possible. And I mean, right now this is the setup to do that in. Hopefully in the future we can do it without having to worry about the Ninja, and we can all enjoy our Canons again. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Also, don't forget to head over to my Twitter @NoLifeDigital. And yeah, thank you all for the support. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.